And welcome back to Sheffield Banjo Lessons. It is Richard here, and today we are going to be looking at ornamentation on the banjos. So when we talk about ornamentation, we are talking about the techniques that are the slides, the hammer-ons, and the pull-offs predominantly. And this lesson is going to look into those and help you build really fundamentally sound ornamentation on the banjo. And it's going to look at three vital components that you can apply to each of those techniques to make sure that each one is absolutely solid. And then after that, we are going to do a really important thing, which is look at how to make sure you are playing them in the correct time. You'll see all these different bits in the songs that you're going to play, and it's really important to make sure that you can understand the differences of how you execute each one of those with the different timing signatures. So let's take a look at ornamentation. So, ornamentation on the banjo. Well, I said earlier we're going to look at the three important parts, like the three building blocks of ornamentation. That's where we're going to start. And these are super important. And every technique, whether it's a slide, a pull-off, or a hammer-on, can really benefit from having these three components in there and you in control of those to make sure that they are voiced correctly and fully for you. And those three components are an origin, a destination, and then a journey. And what that means is the origin is a starting note, the destination is the end note, and the journey is going to be just how we get there. Whether it's a slide, a hammer, or whether it's a pull-off. Right, and all three parts of those techniques have to be there and strong for you to have that technique. So when we're looking at that then, what it means really is I need to fret this origin note. If I'm going to start on a second fret and I'm going to play, let's say, a slide, and I'll explain the slides in a moment, I'm going to have to make sure I play this note before I set off. If I set off too early, I'm not going to have it. So the origin has to be played before I move. The destination note, well, I have to reach it, don't I? So I can't finish too early. So if I want to go to the fourth fret, I can't finish on the third. And actually, I need to make sure I'm holding it down at the end so that that voice is two. But the important part then is if it's the slide, I need to make sure that I get there using a slide. And that's going to be the journey. And the journey is going to be how you sort of conduct the mechanic of each of those techniques. So for the slide, very quickly, I just need to make sure I'm holding it down and moving through. Yeah? And if you hear, like, if any of these steps are sort of incorrectly done, I might cheat the origin and have, and I don't get that first note. If I cheat the destination and come off, you don't get a full sound. And if I lift from the sliding technique, again, it doesn't voice. So those three important parts. You need your origin note to be nice and strong and sound and picked. You need to reach your destination note and still be held down wherever you need to be. And then you need to make sure that the journey's correct and you don't cheat that. So let's apply that to slides now then. So how are slides shown in tab? Well, when you see them in tab, they're going to be indicated by either an arrow going from one note to another, so let's say a 2 to 3 on the middle G string, or it's going to have a diagonal line, and it'll show you the start note, which will be the 2, and then the line shows you it's going up to the number 3. And that means you're going to play the second fret and slide up to the third. Now with a slide, what you're not doing is you're not playing that second note. With all ornamentation, it moves from one note to another. So this 2-3 slide, I'm going to play on the middle G, and I'm going to fret the second, hold it down, and then I'm going to literally just move over and make sure I hold this down, and I'm going to slide into the third fret. And holding that string down is what's going to give the voice. So again, remembering we need the origin, journey, and destination to be sound. I'm going to pick it, hold it, and slide it over the bar and keep it held down on that third fret. So, just like that. So, picking it with the thumb, second fret, sliding it over, keeping it held down, into the third. Cool. So those are the 3 steps for a 2-3 slide. Right, so get this practiced a little bit first. So just 2 to 3. Right, just hit pause, rinse and repeat it, make sure you're happy with the idea of that motion. Now then, let's look at where else you can have some of these slides that are seen quite often. So we did a slide from 2 to 3, which is just 1 fret. But sometimes you can see these as 2 fret slides, which would be 2 to 4, again primarily on that middle G string. So I'm going to hold down that 2nd fret, but when I play, I need to slide all the way through 3 and end on 4. And that can be tricky to do when you're sort of new to this. You're going to overshoot it and undershoot it and feel not connected. But this is where the journey is important. You make sure you hold that note and you've got like a grounding base to be able to slide through to where you want that destination to be. So same again, pick on the 2nd and then slide through to the 4th. You can hear the 2 voices and the slide giving it a sort of wow to get there, right? Cool, so hit pause again if you need to and play that 2 or 3 times, 3 or 4 times, whatever you need, get that back and then we'll continue with the next. Right, the next slide then, we've got a 1 fret slide 2 to 3, we've got a 2 fret slide which is 2 to 4. But some songs like Cripple Creek are going to use a 3 fret slide and this can be really tricky. And primarily you're going to see this on something like string 1 or string 4, your 2 D strings. And we'll do it on string 4. And what you're going to get is, again, we're going to play on the 2nd fret, but I've got to now slide through 2 frets and then into that 5th. I want to do it as that one motion, remembering I need the sound origin note, so don't set off too early. And that's the main thing you can do when you're learning these that kind of brings them down a bit, is you set off too early and you only end up voicing part of it. So play that origin note nice and strong with your thumb and then we'll try and whip that through to the 5th fret. But hear that? So still voicing it at the end, but have to keep it held down through all of those. So. Yeah, got that. Big bunch of sort of string noise that you can hear there as well. Don't worry about that too much. So that's how you can do slides. And that's the thing that I would say to do now is hit pause, get these in your hands over different strings and different frets. And later on we'll look at the timing and how to put them into rolls properly. So the next bit of ornamentation we're going to do is going to be a hammer-on. And it's as the name sounds, you're going to hammer down, bring the hammer down from one thing to another. And that's what's going to voice our next note for us. So how hammer-on looks in tab is you're going to have an arch that goes over from your origin note to your destination note. And sometimes it just says HO over the top of it as well to make it a little bit easier. Now the thing with hammer-ons is if you're bringing something on, you can never go to the lower note doing a hammer-on. It's always going to be, if we think about it, if I play an open to 2 hammer on the 4th string, I'm going to play it open, bring my finger down on the 2nd fret. To bring the hammer down, it has to come down onto something, so you'll never get it where it goes the other way. That will be a pull-off, as you'll see next. So, again, we need our start and our end, right? We need the beginning and the end of the journey, as well as the journey that's involved. So with this, the first thing is your beginning note, your origin, is going to be your picked note. So we'll say open on string 4. And then to bring the hammer down, what I'm going to do is fret onto number 2 on string 4. And I just need to bring it down and finish as if I could pick it and voice the note. And so I'm going to bring it down with enough force that you can hear it and that it holds. Does that make sense? Again, think of a hammer coming down, bam, you're hammering on that note, but you've got to hold it so that you could pick it afterwards and know that the note's there. So don't come away like this. Right, you want to hold. Make sure it voices. So that's a 0 to 2. You can do that on string 3. That's done quite often as well. Yeah. So origin note picked. Journey is making sure you hold it down. destination is holding it down, but your journey is making sure you bring the hammer down with enough force that you can hold that note. Right then, can we hammer on between two notes that are fretted? Yes, we absolutely can, and we are going to do that with a 2 to 3 hammer on the 3rd string. So I'm going to pick the 3rd string, I'm going to fret it with my index, and then you can use either your middle or your ring finger to voice that 3rd fret. So I'm going to pick it, and then bring my middle finger down to that 3rd fret to do the hammer to voice that. Again, we're not picking two notes, we're not doing... It's the hammer that's voicing that second one for us. And like I say, you can use ring if you want as well. So can we hammer on between two different frets then? We were able to with the slide. Well, let's take a look. We can, right, but you don't see it quite as often and quite as much as you do the slide. It's not quite as nimble, it's a bit harder to reach for. But the sort of ones that you're going to come across are going to be something like a 1 to 3 hammer on string number 2. Right? Or some weird ones like if you're playing a G chord down by the 7th, 8th and 9th frets, you're going to sometimes see a 7 to 9. But that's for another day. Right, so for now, we know we can do an open string to a hammered one. That's quite generally the way I would say hit pause and play those. Those are the ones that you'll learn the action more. But practice some 2 to 4 on string 3. And can you get the 2 notes sounding? Remember, origin note is played. Journey is going to be making sure you bring the hammer down with enough voice that you can then hear your destination note on that 4th fret. When you're building strength, it might be hard to hear the next one. It might be... But keep building it up to be able to just snap that finger down so you can hear it. Yeah? Cool. So those are the sort of 2 you're going to see. So if you want to practice them, practice open to 2, string 4 and string 3. And then I would say 2 to 3 on string 3, 2 to 4 on string 3, and maybe 1 to 3 on string 2. Now, little tip is generally the way that I like to do it is when I'm fretting between 2 strings, right? Between 2 notes, I'm going to be playing the 2nd and hammering the 4th. You'll see I leave my index finger down underneath it. And as long as I don't need this elsewhere, I'll always generally leave that down. It gives me a stronger sort of body to it. But you can move it away once you've reached your destination. So it's only that note that's actually going to sound. So whichever suits you for that, really. Pull-offs then. Pull-offs are the 3rd one. So if a hammer-on hammers on, a pull-off is going to just do the opposite and it's going to pull away. So you're going to fret something and then pull away from it to be able to ring out that next note that's underneath. And the way that's going to be shown on tab is going to be again with this arch to show you the origin note and where it's going to pull off to, and it sometimes has a PO above it. The idea of this, right, is that you'll see your first note and then the note, like say, is going to pull off to. You don't pick that second note. Now, if you're pulling away, you can only make a note go lower. So a hammer-on can only make a note go higher, right, because we're hammering on. A pull-off can only make it go lower because we're pulling away to a lower note. So 2 to 0 pull-off on the 3rd string would sound like this. You see, it's a higher to lower. If we were to do 2 fretted notes, same again, because we're pulling off, we have to pull off to a note lower down. So let's do 3-2. You hear how the tone goes down. That's how they work. And then, I guess, making sure we get them structurally sound, let's look at our origin, journey, destination. So if it looks like it's a 3-2 pull-off on the 3rd string, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fret both notes I'm going to need, if you see here. So I've got my ring finger on string 3 of the 3rd, and then I'm also going to fret where it's going to pull off to, and that's going to be that 2nd. Right, that 2nd fret with my index. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first one, make sure it's held down, and then pull away so that I can then voice the next note that's underneath it, which is that 2nd. So the important bit here is playing it, pulling it away with enough sort of, enough ferocity that it's going to voice the note beneath it. And you'll hear this. And that's a really neutral way of doing one that involves 2 frets. You may also hear push off and pull off slightly differently. And sometimes people refer to these this way, and what they're going to do is they're going to bend the note very, very slightly to give them some body for when they pull it away from the string. So if it's that 3-2, they might pull off by pulling down a bit that bends the pitch. So a neutral one is just pulls away. A pulled one pulls it down slightly, let go, and it gives it a bit more body, so people do that. I'd say with these seasoned to taste. So the push-off version is just the opposite. I'm going to push up before I pull away, and that becomes a push-off. Now, let's apply those 2 open strings. So that was 3-2 pull-off. Now let's apply it as a 2-0 pull-off. Now I'm going to fret it, same string, string 3, 2nd fret, and I'm just going to pull away neutrally. Now let's flavour it as the push or pull off, and you're going to hear it as. Gives it a little bit more body, right? So I guess the next question is, can we do a pull off over more than just 1 fret, so 2 frets or more? Yes, we absolutely can. Again, it's the sort of thing you don't see quite as much. You're more likely to see a 2-3 pull off or a 2-0, right? But you're less likely to see it over a greater amount of space, a greater amount of frets. But if you do, again, it could be a 4-2 on string number 3. So again, I'm going to fret both now, right? So remember our origin, got to fret that, and I want the destination to be fretted behind it so that I can pull off to it. I've got to make sure I voice it when I pull off, but because there's a greater distance, it's trickier to do. So it is trickier to do. Sometimes you'll find it though on, let's say, string 2 with a 3-1. As well, and so they're doable, but they're just a little trickier and probably a lot less sort of frequently used.